GST Council reduces tax rate for electric vehicles from 12 to 5%. The rate for EV chargers also cut from 18 to 5%. Approves exemption from GST for hiring of electric buses by local authorities. The Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman chairs the 36th GST Council meeting through video conference. Top Jaish terrorist Munna Lahori and his aide gunned down in Shopian. Munna Lahori hailed from Pakistan and was involved in a series of civilian killings in South Kashmir. In Machal sector of Jammu and Kashmir, one Jawan martyred as Pakistan violates ceasefire again. Rescue operation underway to help stranded passengers of the Mahalakshmi Express, which is held up due to water logging on the track following heavy rains between Badalpur and Wangani in Maharashtra. The train was carrying nearly 700 passengers. Heavy rains continue to lash Mumbai. More than 20 trains are short terminated or cancelled. ED arrests Satish Babu Sana in connection with money laundering probe against businessman Moin Qureshi, expected to be produced before a special court today. And India reiterates its focus on counter-terrorism and reforms in multilateral bodies, participating in the BRICS foreign ministers meeting in Rio de Janeiro. India says that the UNSC is in danger of losing its credibility and legitimacy if it doesn't address the changing global dynamics. Namaskar and welcome. You're with DD News. I'm Mark Lynn. Let's begin with our top story, which is the GST meeting. And the high-powered GST Council today decided to reduce the tax rate on electric vehicles to 5% from the existing 12%. The new rate will be effective from August 1. The Council also slashed the goods and services tax on EV chargers from 18% to 5%. The 36th meeting of the Council was chaired by the Union Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman via video conference. The Minister of State for Finance, Anurag Thakur, was present during the meeting. The Council approved the GST exemption for hiring of electric buses by local authorities. And Ajay Mishra now joins us with more updates on the subject. Well, Ajay, when we talk about electrical vehicles, the first thing that comes to mind is electric cars, but there are a whole lot of other vehicles. As we see, electric buses here is one aspect. Then there are electric bikes, there are electric scooters, there may be electric cycles. So the market is much bigger than just electric cars.
Absolutely. I think the first mover advantage of this whole exercise is going to be the public transportation system, where we understand that most of the transport authorities are going to float the tenders for adoption of electrical vehicles, because they are going to get a huge subsidy on that. Under the FAME 2 subsidy scheme, which was announced effective from 1st of April this year, there will be a 10,000 crore of subsidy for the public transportation system if they go and adopt the electrical vehicle system. So the buses and any vehicle which has more than 12 seats are going to have a major chunk of this the shift to this new ecosystem of electrical mobility in the country. So you are right that while we see that the private vehicles are the most attractive part of it, but the public transportation system as well as the scooters and other electrical two-wheelers are going to be the important part when it comes to the mobility in the days to come, and that's big for all of them when there will be a reduction of the taxes as well as subsidy support to the whole ecosystem.
Right. So what does this do then for the industry in terms of, first, it's going to boost demand, but is it going to bring in a lot of investment from outside when we look at, because the electric vehicles market is doing reasonably well, there's quite a few advancements made in some of the advanced countries. Are we likely to see those kind of technologies being replicated now much faster in our country?
I think there is no option to that, Mark. If you see the share of electrical vehicles in India's total automobile industry, it is just 0.06%, and it is pointed out in the economic survey that it is the high time that the government has to focus on the electrical mobility to actually protect the environment, because the public transportation currently on petrol and diesel are contributing almost 90% of the pollution being done on the roads. So that's number one. Secondly, if you see the technologies around the world, Norway accounts for for almost 39% of all the vehicles which moves on the road of the Norway. And also when you come to China, which is one of the largest producer of the electrical buses, is actually contributing 2% of the of overall vehicle production in that country. So India has to move from the manufacturing base of petrol and diesel cars to the electrical ones, and there is no option. And we believe that already the industries are in talks with their counterparts abroad, and there is no option before them also but to switch to the electrical vehicle system, because there is a huge incentive for the individuals to go and buy electrical vehicles. There will be a huge advantage for the local authorities in the transportation system to actually float large-scale tenders. We know that the 1,000 electrical buses the tender has been floated by Delhi government, whereas the Ahmedabad, Kolkata and Hyderabad is also in the queue to go for the large-scale tender. So there is going to be a fundamental shift in the automobile industry, how it works in the country, and I think the ecosystem is going to get a big boost from this announcement in the budget.
So you did mention the word ecosystem. Now that's an important word to analyze a little bit, because the ecosystem that prevails now is currently based on petrol, diesel, CNG to some extent. And you know, there is already a shortage. You can see large queues outside CNG terminals. There may not be in petrol terminals so much, but definitely this is going to be an issue. If people start buying cars, electric vehicles, where are they going to charge them? Where are they going to park them? These are important things.
Absolutely. The whole ecosystem, and that's where the Mobility Mission 2025 comes in, where the India is going to focus on creating the ecosystem, as taking a cue from the economic survey. The budget has taken some decisions. We also believe that the charging stations will be made in public and private partnership along with the industry leaders, because charging infrastructure is one, and time taken for charging electrical vehicle is also one of the crucial factors which has to be factored in. When it comes to petrol and diesel, we are paying the highest slab at 28% of GST, and that's a major pain point when it comes to a purchase of a car, because if you go buy a 10 lakh car, you are actually ending up paying 2.8 lakh as a GST to the state and central government. But now on the electrical vehicles, you will just pay 5%. Similarly, for the batteries which are being used in the electrical vehicles, the GST on those batteries will be reduced from 18 to 5%. And for me, the biggest news point from today's GST Council decisions is that the local authorities will have to pay no taxes if they are going to adopt electrical vehicles to their itinerary of the public transportation system. So I see a huge shift in the manufacturing, a huge shift in the skilling, where you will see the green jobs being created in the days to come, and sector skill councils will have to work hard to actually skill people to actually work for this new sunrise sector.
One final question, Ajay. You know, prices are still quite high. I mean, they start at about 6 lakhs in entry level for cars, at least in the electric vehicle market. So for it to actually become widespread, the prices have to reduce. They have to become affordable. Otherwise, people either have to find alternative forms of transport, like scooters, perhaps, or two-wheelers or cycles. But is that happening?
So interestingly, the 10,000 crore of subsidy under FAME 2 will not be of much assistance to the scooter and two-wheeler ecosystem. So that's number, because there are so many parameters like the size of the battery, their top speed, their efficiency in terms of charging. So the two-wheeler segment is not going to be helped by the subsidy scheme, but yes, the GST on that segment will come down. Secondly, the public transportation system, in which the more than 12-seater cars and the buses are going to be the most beneficial out of this ecosystem, where the authorities will get a major boost to actually come out and adopt these segments. But you're right that in the days to come, the electrical vehicle system and their technology will have to get cheaper, and I think it is where the private industry will try their best to adopt them from the foreign players and foreign counterparts, and actually try to make India as a manufacturing hub of the electrical vehicles in the days to come.
Ajay Mishra, thank you very much for those inputs. Now moving on to our next story. Well, in a major success for the security forces in their anti-terror campaign, a topmost Jaish terrorist was gunned down in South Kashmir today. The terrorist, identified as Munna Lahori, hailed from Pakistan and was eliminated with his local associate in Shopian after a night-long operation. The slain terrorist was responsible for the partial car blast attack on the security force convoy in Banihal in March this year, and he was also responsible for a fatal car blast on the army vehicle in Arihal in Pulwama in June. In a tweet, Jammu and Kashmir police said that Munna Lahori had an expertise in IED making and was responsible for a series of civilian killings in the South Kashmir region. It said that JEM had also used him for recruiting terrorists. Meanwhile, an army jawan was martyred in Machal sector of North Kashmir's Kupwara district when Pakistani troops resorted to unprovoked firing. The defense sources said that Pakistani forces attacked the army's posts in Machal sector today in the morning, leading to injuries to one soldier. The critically injured soldier later succumbed at hospital. The Indian side responded in a befitting manner in the ceasefire violation. About 500 of the total 700 passengers have been rescued from the Kolhapur-Mumbai Mahalakshmi Express, which has been held up since the last evening near Badalapur in Thane district, and this is due to waterlogging on the tracks. And also the NDRF state disaster management teams, the Railway Protection Force, fire brigade officials are involved in the rescue operation to evacuate the passengers. 8 flood rescue teams from the Navy, including 3 diving teams, are also taking part in the operations. The Western Naval Command is keeping a close watch on the situation and is in constant touch with state administration to respond as required, and necessary help and assistance is being provided to the flood affected areas. Now, the Chief Minister, Devendra Fadnavis, has instructed the Chief Secretary to personally monitor rescue operations. The Union Minister of State for Home Affairs, Nityanand Rai, spoke to the Chief Minister and took stock of the situation. Heavy rains continue to lash Mumbai and adjoining areas, with waterlogging in several areas and affecting normal life as well. Mumbaikars have been witnessing heavy to very heavy rainfall accompanied by strong winds and lightning as well. This is happening since yesterday, leading to waterlogging and traffic congestion at several chronic spots. And non-stop rains in Mumbai, Navi Mumbai, Thane and other suburbs have led to flooding in the residential areas. The Meteorological Department had predicted heavy to very heavy rainfall in Mumbai, Navi Mumbai and Thane. And that was all for today. Now, Mumbai police has requested commuters to avoid waterlogged areas. They've also asked them to maintain some distance from the sea. Now, the BMC officials are also on alert, and they have alerted locals not to step out unless necessary. Due to heavy rain fall in most places, it's compounded also with overflowing the Ulhas River. This has resulted in waterlogging at Ambernath, and about 20 trains were terminated while 2 were cancelled. Meanwhile, the Met Department has predicted scattered heavy rainfall in Raigad, Thane and Palghar, and also some places in Ratnagiri, and extra heavy rainfall in isolated places across Maharashtra. This is both today and tomorrow. And Shishir now joins us with an update on the Mahalakshmi Express rescue efforts. Shishir, we were saying that of the 700 passengers, many of them have already been rescued. What is the focus? The focus is first to remove all the passengers and get them to safety. But what happens to the trains, the route that is blocked? You know, what's the next step after that?
Well, absolutely, Mark. You rightly said here that first focus at this point in time is to rescue all the people from the Mahalakshmi Express here, because at this point in time it's quite difficult to reach there. But in spite of that, the NDRF team and other officials have reached there, and within 2 hours of span of time, we have seen here that nearly 500 passengers have been rescued from the train here. The operation is in full swing. Well, Mumbai, first about Mumbai, basically the rain has stopped since morning here, but the adjoining areas like Raigad, you mentioned about Navi Mumbai, Thane district, Palghar district, these are the areas are receiving a very, very heavy rainfall since yesterday night here, and that's the reason we have seen here that the waterlogged situation in all these areas. Well, as far as the train rescue operation is concerned, at this point in time, we've got to know is that the helicopter has reached there by the Indian Air Force. They're looking at the entire area now, where they require of to remove people basically from the waterlogged areas. Those people can be airlifted from those areas. At the same time, the NDRF team have also reached to the spot here, and nearly 500 people have been rescued with the help of speedboat here and have been now taken to the safe place. Later on, they'll be moved to the Badlapur station, which is a nearby station where the train actually stuck since yesterday. Meanwhile, the food packets have been distributed to the people there. At the same time, the medical equipment have also been given to the people who have been stranded in the train. Well, as far as the rainfall warning is rightly said in the news is concerned, the Palghar area, the Raigad, Ratnagiri area will receive a very heavy rainfall, and that's the reason proper arrangements have been put in place across all these areas, especially the coastal line areas which have been talking about. The Konkan belt falls under this, and that's the reason the authority have already given warning to the district level also that to be on alert mode here. Well, since yesterday we have seen a very heavy rainfall in Mumbai, and later on the heavy rainfall actually started shifting towards the coastal area, and that's the reason be it Thane area, Navi Mumbai and the Ratnagiri areas receiving a very heavy rainfall in this particular area here. As far as the waterlogged situation concerned in Thane district is concerned, we've just got to know that the Maharashtra government have sent a letter to the Air Force also and the NDRF and the Indian Navy that to deploy forces and rescue people where the people have been stranded in these areas, because the almost the areas, basically the roadside areas, have been submerged in water, along with the most of the track have also gone under water, and that's the reason the communication in these areas, especially the traveling in these areas, become quite difficult. So people have been stranded, have been stuck where they are since yesterday night.
Yes, Shishir, so that the Mahalakshmi Express is also stranded in Thane, and you said that heavy rains are expected there. Now, what we are seeing, I mean, from the visuals, the train looks almost submerged, and if more heavy rains come, one can feel that the pressure levels also increase. It will become like a river flowing, the water when it moves and when it finds its way down to whatever stream it's creating. This is also quite dangerous, isn't it, for people who are living in these areas? What's actually happening? Are they all being evacuated? I mean, people living around that area.
Well, people have been living this area because this is a quite isolated place here. This is doesn't come under any major cities here. It's actually, if you look at the situation where the train actually stuck, it's almost 80 to 90 kilometers from Mumbai. And that's the reason to reach to this spot is a major challenge, even for the NDRF team also and other officials also. But in spite of that, with the help of speedboat, the NDRF team reached to the spot here. And what we got to know is that now the rain has stopped in this area, and that's the reason the rescue operation is going on full swing. And that's the reason these people who are stuck in these areas have been moved to the safer places now, and later on will be taken to the Badlapur station here. But of course, what is most important is that that if you look at the entire picture there, you can see the water on both the sides of the train, and that's the reason people have been told not to go out from the train, because walking on the track in such a bad situation will be a difficult task for the people, and that's the reason they've been told to be in the train itself, because that's the safest place. And at the same time, the authorities are also giving constant warning to the people and also informing about how the security personnel are coming, and the rescue operation will start in a while. That's the reason there won't be a panic. Actually, there wasn't a panic situation. We've got a couple of calls from the people who have been stranded. They've been told that they've got the food packets also. The first aid kit were already present there. So there wasn't any panic situation. The authorities have been informing them time again that how they can move out from the train once the security forces and the NDRF teams reach there.
Shishir Shellar, thank you very much for those inputs. Moving on to our next story then, the Enforcement Directorate has arrested the businessman Satish Babu Sana in the Moin Qureshi money laundering case. Sana was arrested late on Friday night by the ED under provisions of the Prevention of Money Laundering Act. He's expected to be produced before a special court in New Delhi today. The ED had registered a criminal case under the anti-money laundering law against Qureshi in 2017 for alleged corruption and connivance with government officials. It was Babu on whose complaint the Central Bureau of Investigation had registered a criminal FIR on charges of corruption against its former senior officials Rakesh Asthana and Alok Verma. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will share his thoughts with the people of India and abroad in his radio program Mann Ki Baat. It will happen on All India Radio tomorrow at 11 a.m. The Prime Minister has been speaking on various important issues through the monthly program, which is aired on the last Sunday of every month. The Central Reserve Police Force celebrated its 81st Raising Day today. On the occasion, Minister of State for Home Affairs Nityanand Rai paid floral tributes to the martyrs of the force at the National Police Memorial at Chanakyapuri in New Delhi. Addressing the gathering, the minister said that bravery of the CRPF personnel is unmatched and that they are capable of dealing with any kind of untoward situation. He added that with the efforts of CRPF, the scourge of terrorism will be eliminated from Jammu and Kashmir.
जम्मू और कश्मीर में पाकिस्तान प्रायोजित आतंकवाद का मुकाबला बड़ी बहादुरी से करते हैं और यही परिणाम है कि आप के परिश्रम की प्रकाष्ठा ने जम्मू और कश्मीर से आतंकवाद के फन को कुचल दिया है और आगे आने वाले कुछ ही दिनों में, कुछ ही समय के बाद आप सबकी बहादुरी के बल पर जम्मू और कश्मीर में पाकिस्तान परस्त आतंकवादियों का सफाया कर दिया जाएगा, पूरे देश को विश्वास है और केंद्र की सरकार को भी विश्वास है.
The DG CRPF Rajiv Rai Bhatnagar remembered the CRPF jawans martyred in the line of duty and hailed their bravery. He added that in order to provide assistance to the families of the martyrs on a real-time basis, Veer Parivar app was launched by the President in April of this year.
राष्ट्र की सेवा में अभी तक सीआरपीएफ के 2195 बहादुर जवानों और अधिकारियों ने अपने प्राणों की आहुति दी है. मैं उन सभी शहीदों को भावभीनी श्रद्धांजलि अर्पित करता हूं. शहीदों के परिजन हमारे पुलिस बल परिवारों के अभिन्न अंग हैं और उनकी समस्याओं के समाधान के लिए माननीय राष्ट्रपति महोदय द्वारा सीआरपीएफ वीर परिवार नामक मोबाइल ऐप का शुभारंभ अभी किया गया था, जिससे कि हम शहीदों के आश्रितों के साथ लगातार जुड़े रहते हुए सुलभता से आवश्यक सूचनाओं का आदान प्रदान कर रहे हैं.
And Union Minister of State for Home Affairs G. Kishan Reddy also paid homage to the Martyrs Memorial at the CRPF Group Center, which is at Chandrayana Gutta in Hyderabad. India reiterated its focus on counter-terrorism and reform multilateralism. This is at the BRICS Foreign Ministers meeting in Rio de Janeiro. Representing India at the meeting is General V.K. Singh, and he called upon BRICS to take action against all forms of terror-supporting acts. India also raised the issue of reforms of multilateral bodies, specifically the UNSC. Both these issues also found a place in the joint media statement at the end of the meeting in Rio.
A great amount of work has been done in BRICS where counter-terrorism is concerned, and especially by Brazil in the last almost a year of its presidency. And terrorism is one issue which concerns everybody in the world. So we emphasize that. We also emphasize that restructuring of the United Nations as such, various organs, and to bring it in sync with the realities of the world today in terms of representations, in terms of how various regions who remain unrepresented as part of the Security Council structure. So we said that the BRICS needs to take this issue more positively.
US President Donald Trump on Friday vowed substantial retaliation against France for attacks hitting the US tech giants, accusing his counterpart Emmanuel Macron of foolishness and issuing a veiled threat to impose tariffs on French wine. Now, Trump voiced his anger in a tweet in response to French plans to tax multinational firms like Google, Apple, Facebook and Amazon. French authorities argue that the firms pay little or no corporate tax in countries where they are not based. The Trump administration has said that the tax unfairly targets U.S. tech giants. Meanwhile, France said that it will go ahead with a digital tax. The French economy minister said that universal taxation if digital activities is a challenge for France. He further added that France wants to reach an agreement within the G7 and the OECD. In the meantime, France will implement its national decisions. This has been a DD News presentation. Thank you for your time. Namaskar.